Hi friends, Lorelei Black here from Blade Broom, and this week we're going to be talking about the fall equinox and one of the stories and traditions that's very much associated with the fall equinox, which is Mabon, or specifically the hunt for Mabon or the search for Mabon. So some people just think of the fall equinox as sort of like pagan Thanksgiving or the witches' Thanksgiving, and that's certainly an approach that you can take to it, and I'm not eschewing that in any way, but since so many people actually call this festival by the name Mabon, I thought we ought to look at who Mabon is by looking at the story that's associated with Mabon, or one of two major stories that's associated with Mabon. So the story that I'm going to tell you is the hunt for Mabon, or the search for Mabon. So Mabon himself was considered a great hunter. In fact, his name typically is considered to mean the great hunter. And in the story that's told of him, or one of the two major stories that's told of him in the Mabinogion, which is a collection of Welsh tales and folklore, King Arthur and several of his knights go out in order to help one of King Arthur's friends, who is one of the knights, in order to help him appease the father of the knight's chosen and beloved, so that the knight can actually marry his love interest. And in order to appease the father, the knight has to bring back the comb and scissors of a particularly fierce and notorious wild boar. And the boar is so fierce and notorious that he has earned a name for himself in the territory. So, and the comb and scissors of this boar are not something that he uses to groom himself with, but rather they're the bristles on top of his head and under his chin. And so they determine that they need the help of the greatest hunter to be able to do this, and after much consultation with all of the wise people in the area, they decide that Mabon, whom nobody has really met, is reputed to be the greatest hunter around. And so they form up a hunting party themselves to go hunt the hunter and find him so that he can lead their hunting party to be able to get this boar. So they go out in search of Mabon, and they're pointed in the direction of a particular forest where he's supposed to be. And nobody has seen or heard of Mabon since he was a baby, which actually begs the question of why it is that he's considered the greatest hunter, because nobody has seen him since he was a baby, which is the other story that's told about him, is how he disappeared. But he is said to be in this one forest over there. So Arthur and his knights go off to that one forest over there. And when they get to the forest, they find a lapwing. And the lapwing is considered revered among the animals of Wales. And so they consult the lapwing, and the lapwing thinks after they have explained the situation, and he says, I have been in this forest for a very long time, and when I came here, there was a blacksmith's anvil, heavy and solid and large, and I perched upon that anvil, and I have pecked and pecked and pecked until there is nothing left but what you see here, just a speck of iron left. And in all that time, I have never seen or heard of the man that you seek. But you might check with the stag. He's older than I am. And so the party says, okay, and they go off in search of the stag. So they find the stag, and the stag is majestic, and he's in an oak wood full of tall and mighty oaks, a very venerable part of the forest. And the stag himself has a huge rack of antlers, and he's this presence. He's the king stag for sure. He is, again, a mighty and venerable animal, one of the wise, one of the ancient. And the hunting party says to him, "Surely you must know where Mabon can be found." And the stag says, "When I came here, there was nothing in this part of the forest, and I had only one antler on each side of my head. And the only tree that was here was one small oak sapling that grew into a mighty oak tree, but has since then fallen and has decayed. And these are its children that you see around it. And in all that time, I have never seen or heard of this hunter of whom you speak. But you might check with the owl, because the owl has been here longer than I have." So feeling a little bit daunted, but in pursuit of their quarry nonetheless, the hunting party says, "Okay, we're still on this trail. We will go and seek the owl." And so they do. And they search and search, and they find the owl. And the owl was indeed very old. So old that the owl was tired. And when they found the owl, she said, "When I first came to this wooded glen, this valley, it was richly wooded, but men came and destroyed everything. They cut down the trees, and I was distraught. The trees grew again. A second forest grew up in its place. And I had joy in my heart, and I flew over the trees, and I hunted. And then they came again and destroyed it again, carrying away everything. And then a third time it grew. And this is the forest you see, although it's happening again. And my wings are stumps, and I am old and tired. But I do not know the man you seek. You should ask the eagle. The eagle has been here longer than I have." And so Arthur and his knights left in search of the eagle. Surely this must be the oldest animal, older even than the owl. The eagle must know. When they found the eagle, he said, "When I first came to this forest, I perched on this magnificent, huge rock. And I pecked the stars every evening. That rock is now but a hand's breadth high, and it is this small stone you see before you. And in all that time, I have never heard of this Mabon whom you seek, but once. It was when I flew to Lew's Lake, and I sunk my talons into a salmon. But that fish was stronger than me. And eventually, we made peace. That fish is very wise. The wisest of all the animals. If anybody were to know of this man whom you seek, it is he." If he can't help you, there is none in the forest who can. Go to Lew's Lake and seek the salmon. And so, my friends, that is what the hunting party did. They went to find the salmon. Not the oldest, but the wisest of all the animals. And when they found the salmon, he told them, I swim every year upstream to Gloucester, and there is a hut nearby. Imprisoned within is the hunter that you seek. He has lived out his days there. He is mighty, but you must free him. And so they did. The rest of the story is a different story, but there is so much embedded in the hunt for the hunter and in why he disappeared and in the 5 wise animals. And I hope that you've enjoyed my retelling of the story and that you're able to use it in your Mabon celebrations this year. If you found this interesting, I actually have some Sabbat-related things at my Etsy shop, and there are links for that down below, some BOS pages and some activity pages related to this for ritual use and that type of thing. So if that interests you, links on all that kind of stuff are down below. I would love to hear what it is that you're doing this year for the Fall Equinox, Mabon, Harvest Homecoming, whatever name you call it. And if you're a friend down south of the equator, I would love to hear what you're doing for the Spring Equinox, where you're having very different energies. Comment, subscribe, share, do all those things, and I will see you here next Monday at noon. Bye, guys.